What did that kid at your school do to make them so infamous? Story 1. A big blizzard hit. Huge snowdrifts near the top of the first story height of the school. I could literally walk up to the snow and step onto the roof. I climbed the ladder up onto the gymnasium, walked to the edge, saw an even bigger fresh pile of fluffy snow, and I leaped. When I hit the ground, arms tucked aside, I was up to my chin in snow. After about 5 minutes of screaming in pain, I pulled myself out and walked away. I then spent the rest of the day jumping off the first story into regular-sized snowbanks. That gym jump hurt. For context, I think I was 14, maybe 13. Story 2. We had a project our senior year where we basically pretended to be pioneers, and we had to create a skit, build a little shack, costume, the whole 9 yards. My group had that kid. So on the day of the project, we all got those little Jack Links cans that look like dip cans because chewing was common, at least we thought so. Well, he didn't really get the memo, and bought a can of Copenhagen pouches. In the middle of our skit, he had a part where he would put in the jerky snuff and pretend it was a dip, but since he's that kid, he put it in a pouch to brag about how cool he was. As soon as the skit was over, he ran into our little shack and puked his guts out. Another time, we were in math class, and we had a sub who we all loved. That kid decided it would be funny to put a thumbtack in his chair, and when the sub sat down on the chair, we all got a taste of his previous occupation, U.S. Army Drill Sergeant. Story 3. Had a mullet so long he tucked it into his shirt and it came out the bottom. Also, same kid, played a game of one-on-one basketball with the gym teacher when the teacher was going to fail him for not changing and participating in class. They reached an agreement that if the kid beat the teacher, he'd pass, and if he lost, he'd fail, or have to start dressing and participating. When he sunk his winning basket, he screamed at the teacher, Mr. Book, "The book is overdue!" in his moment of triumph. Story 4. One kid would assault someone at least once a month, eventually got expelled, but it took multiple incidents. One boy sucked another boy off and got caught by an adult. One kid was severely autistic, but had a giant cock. Boarding school with communal showers, dude hung to his knees. What the fuck? Story 5. Got a couple. A guy named Richard showed up to class in high school wearing a shirt that read, "My name is Richard," on the front, and, "But you can call me Dick," on the back. It was already his nickname. He immediately got sent to the principal's office, and he made him cover up the word Dick with a piece of duct tape. From then on, he would wear the shirt at least once a week with that same damn piece of duct tape on it until he graduated. Here's the twist. He bought a second identical shirt and would wear the non-taped one to class randomly once the teacher were used to seeing the taped one, and would rarely get called out for it. When he did get caught and sent home to change, word would go around that it got caught with his dick out again, and we all knew exactly what that meant. Then we have the Vandals. One year, when we came back from spring break, the entire sidewalk stretch at the bus loading zone was spray painted with anarchy symbols, hate speech, swastikas, etc., and several plastic trash cans that were outside the school were melted to the ground from fires being lit in them. No one knew who it was the first day, because all students were present and there were no cameras. Mid-2000s. It caused such a fuss that the state equivalent of the FBI got involved and showed up in force the next day to begin questioning. That is when we figured out who it was, due to a brother-sister pair not showing up for class. Our bets were they saw the unmarked SUVs at the school, turned right around and took off. The parents filed a missing persons case the following morning, and it took a week to track them down 2 states away. We never saw them again for obvious reasons. Story 6. The kid once asked to use the bathroom, but the teacher refused to let him go. He had gone several times already that day. Instead of actually going to the bathroom, he'd go up and down the hallways, disrupting lessons by sticking his head into other classrooms and yelling profanity, then flee. Turns out he actually had to use the bathroom this time. He got up and went to the corner of the room and started taking a piss on the floor. We watched in silence until he was finished. Some of us laughed. Others called him names. The teacher left the room. We got to skip class and hang around in the schoolyard. Story 7. We had a couple that kid people. Names will obviously be changed. Tyler glued his lips together with a stick of glue, then tried to pull them apart, while a child psychiatrist was visiting our class. Mark made dry ice bombs in soda bottles, threw one and it exploded in the face of the most liked girl in school, pushed her upper lip right through her top teeth and cut her face up really bad. Don't think there was a single student not lining up to kick his ass. Mark, same guy as above, starts yelling at our teacher in the class one day, then just slaps his monitor right off the desk, all while the teacher sat there calmly, finally saying, "Are you done?" after the tantrum ended. Ah, the wonders of small-town USA. Story 8. A girl tried to set fire to several trash cans throughout the school and put the blame on her now ex-boyfriend as revenge for getting her pregnant. Not only was it revealed that the baby wasn't even his, but he wasn't even in the state at the time of the fire, so her attempt to ruin him failed from the very beginning. Story 9. There was a kid that got caught rubbing one out to a Holocaust movie that one of the English teachers would show when having the kids read the Diary of Anne Frank. There was also a trail of diarrhea that led from one of the boys' bathrooms into one of the girls' bathrooms, or vice versa. There was hot debate on who did it and in what order the chain of events occurred. A goth kid, male, with a popular older brother used his influence to convince a bunch of people that it was one of the cheerleaders that he had a beef with for some reason. She immediately blamed it on her friend. Her reputation suffered because people thought how quickly she passed the buck was due, and people thought the goth kid was weird and started accusing him of having a fetish because of how hard he insisted it was the cheerleader. There was also a phantom stairwell pooper that everyone thought was one of the weird/quiet kids, since he would skip weeks of school at a time and the stairwell poops would only happen on the days he was there. Then you had your regular kids that are just ups to a legendary extent. One kid got expelled because he threw a chair at the gym teacher. A different kid got arrested because he smashed a TV over a guy's head and killed him while robbing his apartment one weekend. When I was a senior, a kid got arrested for having a kilo of cocaine, but it turned out it was a bunch of ground-up Tylenol. Those are the most memorable ones. None of these people ever recovered from the reputations they got. TLDR, high school is crazy when you live in a small, poor town that serves as the border between a pretty ghetto city and literal farmland. Story 10. During my senior year, there was this girl who was a sophomore, basically an unknown. Not many people knew of her, but they would all know her name soon. This one day, she got dumped by her boyfriend who was also a sophomore. She didn't handle the situation too well. So she goes to the second floor, opens up a window, climbs onto the roof, and just jumps off. The fall was not that high, so she basically broke her foot and maybe had some other injuries too. School got put on lockdown and word spread like wildfire about the incident because there were witnesses. The ex-boyfriend thought the whole incident was hilarious. She never came back to school because of the shame. Everyone knew her now, knew what she looked like, and knew what she did, so she was bound to be bullied heavily. So once she got patched up, she went to another school to start out fresh. My freshman year, a girl was in culinary class. I guess she got some urges that she couldn't control, so she took a frozen hot dog out of the freezer, went to the bathroom, and yeah. However, she got it stuck. She told a teacher in complete embarrassment what she did, and an ambulance came. Word spread like wildfire, and she never came back either because of the shame. Her incident made her so well known in that school that some didn't want her story to die out, so a tradition came where every new year when the freshmen came, the story was told, and then it was passed down from class to class ever since. I would not be surprised if the story is still going strong, and I've been out of school for 7 years now. It was good, but not that good. Story 11. Oh, I was that kid in my class. My first day of high school, I was caught in the middle of a fist fight where it turned up to 100 and someone pulled out a knife. I got stabbed in the side. Instead of crying, in a moment of shock and confusion, I looked at the senior with blood just spilling from my side and yelled, "Really? Not cool, man," before looking down to see the red that soaked my blue pastel dress and floor, muttering, "Oh, fucking Christ," and promptly passing out. Full on, "Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this." The students got expelled and charged with assault with a deadly weapon. But I went on as that chick who got stabbed and sternly wagged my finger at the guy to do it. Made high school so much better, though. Story 12. He screamed at a kid, "This is why no one loves you." The kid had ADHD. My cousin has really bad ADHD, and someone bullied him because he didn't have the medicine for it. His mom didn't have a job, so he couldn't get the money to buy medicine. That kid who bullied him got hated on by everyone. I sometimes think she didn't deserve it, but at the same time, I think she did. Story 13. At primary school, we had a Catholic church service. There was this one guy, kinda unstoppable like wet gremlins. At some point, he jumped on and ran over the benches from left to right, while the priest and my class teacher tried to catch him. It took several attempts and was the best show you could get back in those days. Story 14. Broke one teacher's jaw in 2 places and nearly broke the neck of another on the same day. Not gonna judge him though, this was in the early 90s and the 2 teachers concerned were absolute bullies who got what they deserved. The piece of shit math teacher who nearly had her neck broken ruined more than her fair share of children's futures and self-confidence. She was an absolute monster. Even other teachers hated her but wouldn't or couldn't do anything about her. Story 15. We had a new kid come into our class in the 4th grade, and the entire class was so excited to meet him that morning. When the bell rang, we were all sitting at our desks waiting for him to walk in. Finally, he came in, walked straight to the stapler on our teacher's desk, put his fingers under it, and slammed it to staple his fingers. We were all quiet when he looked at our teacher and said, "I'm going to the nurse," and left. He was moved to a specialized distance learning classroom the next day. Story 16. We had a lady teacher who was hard on certain kids and played favorites with others. Most kids didn't like her. She was especially hard on the lower performing kids, making snide comments and belittling them. The last week of school, Kyle somehow got a hold of her purse on field trip day and pooped in it. Lady carried around a purse smelling of turds the rest of the day as we went in and out of museums. Mean lady had it coming. Story 17. A 16-year-old girl in my school attended a concert of one of the most popular rock bands in my country, was asked to come onto the stage, and jammed along with them. Before she left the stage, the lead vocalist, a married man, was going to give her a peck on the cheek, but she was so nervous that when he was going to do it, she moved her head and she accidentally got a kiss on the lips. All of this was recorded on camera, and it went viral in our general area. Students from my school thought she was really lucky to have kissed someone really popular, and that it was cool that she got picked to jam along with the band, but my teachers didn't think it was appropriate that an underage girl from a Catholic school is going over the moon having accidentally kissed a married man. Story 18. Some kid in my year group didn't like a meal he had at KFC, so we rounded up about 70 to 80 of the other kids in our year group and made a diss track. Got over 30,000 views in one day, and everyone in the video, including myself, was suspended. This was back in 2017 when diss tracks were insanely popular. Just imagine dozens of 13-year-olds practically moshing. Story 19. He was very short. Shorter than most girls at the school, and claimed to be the best athlete our school had and would ever see. The football team, the sport he claimed he would change for our school, went nowhere that year, while the girls' soccer team won CIF. The girls' volleyball team won state championship, the girls' basketball team made it to playoffs, the boys' basketball team made it to playoffs, and when he tried out for basketball, he made it to the JV team. He was a senior. So yeah, all the athletes who had actually taken their considered sports teams to playoffs and championships didn't like him too much.